Thanks for joining us. This is Glenn, Beezy, got Coop, I got B Maury. What's up, fellas? What's happening?
What's going on,
Man,
man?
back at it. This is the Sports
NFL
Counterpoint.
playoffs.
Yeah, NFL playoffs are about to be under full swing. With y'all teams in it. We gonna be watching from the crib, playing some golf, just chilling. It's the Sports Counterpoints podcast. Thanks for joining us. Today is January 10th, 2023. Let's get into it, man. So let's start off with we'll start off with college, and then we'll transition to the NFL, and that's kind of where we'll leave our show. So college national championship game occurred for Georgia. I don't know if TCU got off the bus, man. What happened to them boys?
Man, so some of you guys, we talked before. I said no need to watch the game. It's going to be a rout. Now, I didn't think 62
Did
to
say that.
7, but I thought maybe 51 about, 14, 20, 51, 20, something like that. But I didn't watch a minute of the game, to be perfectly
Me
honest
neither.
with you, because I saw the score. I think it was about, when I wanted to watch it, I think it was 38 to 7. And I was like, it was no need for me to really to watch the game. But I give TCU, I'm not going to just trash TCU. But I mean, let's just be honest. They had a couple pick sixes against Michigan, a fumble recovery against Michigan. They held them on downs to the 3-yard line against Michigan. So they probably shouldn't have won that game. They needed a lot of luck, a lot of things to bounce their way. I knew that wasn't happening against Georgia. I don't think this is a great Georgia team, but they just have many better players, much better players than TCU does as a whole. And, it always wins out. But the one thing I will say, though, I think Georgia's building is the new Alabama, because that team is built just like Alabama, and they recruit just like Alabama, and they play just like Alabama. So I think Georgia's going to be a force for a while. But that's all I pretty much have to say about this game.
B,
B.
what'd you think? You actually
Yeah,
watched it.
yeah. First of all, I mean, Alabama versus Georgia kind of comments. I think Georgia has a much more sustainable road to being a good team. With the NIL, we've talked about before, I don't think Alabama's going to be it anymore. When you have a team like Georgia, where you can be closer to Atlanta, and they have more money going through that program, and it's easier to give fake jobs and sponsorships and all the other stuff that you can do with NIL. It makes it a lot easier. So yeah, I can absolutely see him becoming a powerhouse. The Georgia defense was suspect, right? And so this game, kind of going into it, it was a matter of which team could get more offense and sustain the offense. And TCU just could never get started. I mean, they threw picks, they had turnovers early, and even when they had opportunities to capitalize off of them, they wasted them. And so they got to the point where they were so far behind early that they could just never play their game, run their offense. I mean, the amount of passing yards the 152 to 335 was so disparate, given that they were so far behind, that you can just tell that the offense just never had a chance. Yeah, I'm not going to trash TCU. Matchups make fights, right? This was a mismatch from the beginning. TCU obviously was able to play stronger against some other teams. I think Michigan probably would have given Georgia a better game, but
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have won.
Right.
And that's just kind of the way these things work. And I think at a later point in time, we'll
Yeah.
talk about, what that means when you have a larger playoff. But for right now, Georgia went in there, handled their business, got it done early. Stetson Bennett was out by the third quarter, and looked great. I don't think he is an NFL All-Pro
Yeah.
quarterback,
No, man.
but I think a lot of people who watch just this game, seeing him throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in 3 quarters, might think so. It's an important game, national championship, and all that, but full body of work, I don't think he's that guy.
No, he did himself some favors. I think him and CJ Stroud did themselves some favors, but they both won't be great NFL quarterbacks. Stroud is going to go in the first round, but he's going to be a bust like many other Ohio State quarterbacks. And Stetson Buckner, I think he'll get drafted in the 5th or 6th round and get a chance to compete to be a backup. So I'm with you on that,
Yeah,
Brian.
but you guys got to figure also there's a lot of bad NFL teams that make bad decisions with quarterbacks. So hopefully
Yeah,
my
well,
team's not one of them.
and I liken quarterbacks who go to national championships the same way I liken point guards that take their team to national championships in the NCAA tournament. And we've seen so many of these point guards, Mateen Cleaves. We've seen, these guys who show up big in those big moments, in those big games, get drafted well above what their skill set is,
Mhm.
as a result of playing well in a big game in a big moment in a different setting, which is college. So I wouldn't be surprised if Stetson Bennett gets drafted by an Atlanta by example, or someone like that who,
Yeah, I thought
can
the
use the
Panthers.
marketing dollars, or
Yep.
someone that's close to the school and the program. And that's exactly how Baker Mayfield ended up where he was.
He's
It happens.
exactly who I thought of. Exactly who I thought of.
Yeah.
Word up. Well, yeah, that's a good transition to NFL wise. So, Coop, you kind of had this idea since we, did our at the beginning of the year, we do a division kind of prediction situation, and then you kind of wanted to recap and see kind of where things sat for what you guys remember. So, let's just kind of roll down, man. Let's start with the NFC West. Basically, you're just saying who you had, like the order you had, how it shook
Yeah.
out. That's
Yeah,
it.
I had Rams 49. I had the Rams because I thought Trey Lance was going to play and they'll lose some games early, and had the 49ers in second. Both teams going to the playoffs. I too chicken to pick the Rams to not make the playoffs, but they didn't.
Woo.
I had Seattle last, and I was kind of surprised at the beginning of the year they were balling. I had Arizona in third place, and Arizona is a tire fire. They just fired their coach and general
Yep.
manager. That's a bad job. And from
That
what I
sucks.
read, nobody likes Kyler Murray, so I don't know how that's going to work out. But that's how I had it. Brian, I'm not sure how you had it. Maybe you had the same
Yeah, I
way.
had Rams in first.
Yeah.
I thought that I thought that the 49ers wouldn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I had Seattle in third and Arizona last. Obviously a jumble. None of us had the Rams going there. Quite honestly, it wasn't as interesting a division as it could have been or should have
Yeah.
been, with three teams that were supposed to be all right. Seattle was impressive, with Geno playing solid football all season long. Getting rid of Russell Wilson and changing their whole offense,
Yeah.
moving
Yeah.
that to a Geno-led offense, and going 9-8 is respectable.
Yeah.
They did that.
And and they had a chance all the way up until the night of the last game of the season, in a
Yeah.
game they weren't even in, to make the playoffs. So
Yeah.
hats
did.
off to them.
What
Moving
about
on.
NFC East?
How'd you have the NFC East, Brian? I remember how I had it. How'd you have it?
Yeah, I know I had the Eagles first. I want to say that I had the Cowboys second, and
You did.
then I believe I had Giants and Commanders.
Mm.
So I actually got the order right. I didn't, in no machinations, that I think the Giants were going to be a
Machinations.
playoff team.
Machinations, SAT word. Look those up, everybody. Machinations.
Jeez.
All right, go ahead.
That's my new brand name too.
I didn't think the Giants were going to be a playoff team, let alone going into Minnesota, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
Brian Dable might be a coach of the year, but certainly has impressed everyone who's worked around him. That team fights hard. I think they're playing way above the level of the talent that's on the team. And hats off to them. The Cowboys, I think did that just about where I would have thought they would have been, maybe a game or in one way or the other. And the Eagles were world beaters. I didn't think they were going to be as good as they are, or have as good a record as they do. I thought they were probably the best team, just because they had the talent.
Yeah, I had Philly because of their schedule. I said after I think week 3 or so that they would probably win their division, have the best record in the NFC because of that schedule. So I had them at first. They're good, but I don't think they're as good as people think they are. I had Dallas, Washington, and New York with the same record of 7-9. Dallas actually kind of surprised me. Well, it actually surprised me if they win 2 playoff games, but they actually surprised me going 12-5 or whatever.
About to look like themselves real soon.
Right.
And
The
at
Giants
one
starting
point
Monday.
in time, late in the season, I think it was as late as week 16, all 4 of these teams were scheduled
were in the
to go to
playoffs. Yeah. Yep, they were. The Giants, I'm with you. Brian Dable was my coach of the year. Kyle Shanahan is second, but the job that Brian Dable has done with that team is just incredible. That team doesn't really have a quarterback or a lot of talent, but he's made it happen. The Commanders are a tire fire. I don't know what they are. Actually, they're not the Commanders, they're Commodores. But anyway, I had them in. They came in last or whatever, but I don't really have much to say about them. That's a bad organization. Yeah.
There's a lot of really good publicity going on around Brian Dable about how he goes and he literally sits with in the cafeteria with the people working at the arena and says hello to everybody.
Cool.
Anyway, lots of things to like about them. Hope they lose this weekend.
Yeah, NFC
right.
North. I'm moving to NFC North. I had Minnesota.
There
I
you
knew they would have a good record. Knew they would have a good schedule.
You did say that.
Minnesota, they've been doing what they've been doing. I was too scared to pick Detroit. I told you because of Jared Goff, and Jared Goff had one. He played well in Green Bay. I will give him credit for that. He is not really a good cold weather quarterback, but he played well in Green Bay and got him that victory. So I was too scared to pick them in second, but they came in second. I had Green Bay second, Detroit third, and of course I had Chicago as the worst team in the NFC, and they did not disappoint. They were terrible. There's so many people in that Justin Fields bandwagon. I don't see it. Don't know what they see, but I guess they convinced themselves to do whatever. But Brian, how'd you have this division shaking out?
Yeah, I mean, I actually had it a little bit different order, right? Obviously, I had Green Bay number 1, Vikings number 2, Detroit number 3, and Chicago number 4. Chicago didn't disappoint, as you said. I do think that Justin Fields plays a quarterback position that, in a way, that can win games, but they've got so many problems in Chicago that I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. And Justin Fields, just like every other quarterback that's come before him in Chicago, will amount to nothing while there. The Green Bay and Detroit Lions. Detroit was a solid team all season long, and they play hard. Dan Campbell's another coach who gets everything out of his team. I wish he was in a different division. And Green Bay, I think we just saw the beginning of the end. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers comes back. We'll probably talk about that in another week, or a couple weeks or so. But I don't think it matters if he does.
Yeah.
I think that his team is just not behind him. And someone pointed out to me, a good friend of mine pointed out to me, that should this have been Aaron Rodgers' last game or game with the Green Bay Packers, that means that both Favre and Aaron Rodgers, their last pass as a Packers was an interception.
Interception, yeah. And I did not have Green Bay making the playoffs too before the season started too. I said I did not believe in that team and that offense.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I thought they would make the playoffs. Obviously, had them as the division winners. I said the Vikings could sneak in. They did a little bit better than that.
Yeah, they did more than sneak.
Cope was bullish on your team from early on.
Yeah.
What about
look, let's not get lost in the fact that while they did win the division, they are the only team in history to have a negative point differential and have more than 12 wins.
Yeah.
Ever.
Hey.
So
as Glenn would say, I'll take that.
Yeah,
Detroit,
come on, Detroit Lions were plus 20. Detroit Lions were plus 26, and the Vikings with 13 wins were -3. That is not impressive.
Okay, so I'll move to the NFC South because Tampa Bay had a negative 45 point differential and won their division. So I had them winning the division.
But they didn't have a winning record. There's a difference between. Someone had to win it, right? You had three teams at 7-10, and one team at 8-9. The 8-9 team gets to go to the playoffs.
That's right. I had Carolina. I had this division. I had Carolina in second. I had New Orleans third, and I had Atlanta being a bad team, but not as bad as Chicago coming in fourth. They got a quarterback with Atlanta named Desmond Ridder. I don't know why he got drafted, but they got him, and he's bad, like I thought he would be. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out now going on next year. But that was a wasted draft pick. But anyway, I don't have much to say about this division. It was bad. What about you?
Y'all did lose to those Falcons.
Yeah, I think I got the order right, but it's like a three-way tie, and so Tampa Bay obviously snuck in. Quite honestly, I wouldn't want to go into Tampa Bay, which Dallas has to do.
Yeah, I'm with you. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, and play. So winning ugly is enough to get a home game. It's got to be. The NFC is just not impressive when it comes to division champ. Vikings and Buccaneers both a combined -48 in point differential.
Wish I knew what that was like.
Yeah, and the Carolina Panthers, the Saints, and the Falcons all were better in point differential than Tampa Bay. But anyways, it's a whole new season. I would say that you probably don't want to go into Brady's house. They're getting a little hotter and having to try and win that game. I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm just saying that's a tough game.
I agree. Terrible situation. What about
Glenn, let's talk about the who I thought was going to be the best division in football history, the AFC West.
Yeah, next year.
Man,
next year.
I thought,
you never said what year they'd be good. That was all. We never specified.
Yeah, I had the Chargers winning it with Denver as a boom or bust team, and we all saw that was a bust. I had KC in third, but those top three teams making the playoffs, and I had the Raiders as the best last place team in the history of football. None of that worked out. Chargers won a division. KC won a division. They're still booming. Chargers finally made the playoffs, and Raiders came in third, and Denver was a tire fire. No cap space, no draft picks. Russell Wilson's a quarterback.
They might get D'Amico Ryans though.
I don't think he's that dumb to go there. But Brian,
what'd you have, B?
Well, I had it Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders, and I believe I even apologized for having to put the Raiders last. I just figured someone in that division had to be last, and it was likely to be them. Mm-hmm. That was because I thought Russell Wilson could play quarterback. So much so that I drafted him in a fantasy football league and cut him. by midseason.
Oh, damn.
But that being said, Kansas City does what Kansas City always does. Patrick Mahomes is
Yeah.
just incredible and finds ways to win games.
Mhm.
If I were a Raider fan, the one thing that I would be very unhappy about is that Patrick Mahomes is not going anywhere, and you're
Oh,
likely
yeah.
to have
10
him,
years at
yeah,
least.
him to control that division
Yeah.
for at least the vast majority of his career. And the other thing is, he's not Aaron Rodgers. His team likes
Yeah,
him.
he's
His
better, and he's
team,
better.
he has charisma, and you can tell even now when players don't play with him that they at least appreciate who he is.
Yeah.
Whereas even since the beginning of Aaron Rodgers' career, um, people who left never said anything about him.
Yeah,
It
No,
was
it's
either
true.
they said, I don't really appreciate him,
yeah, they take shots.
or nothing at all.
Often they say nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
take shots though. Donald Driver, the guy, I forgot the other guy
Yeah.
on ESPN. I
Some
mean
take
Fox.
shots and
Yeah,
some say nothing. No
yeah,
one says, "Oh, he was a great guy, great
right.
locker room guy." Never
Who
happens.
who was the
Mahomes is
guy?
not that guy.
Who was the guy that went from Green Bay? Greg Jennings. That was it to Minnesota. Greg Jennings. He
Yeah.
takes shots at him too. So yeah.
Yep.
How'd you have the AFC East, Brian?
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah. So East, I know I had Buffalo because I thought
Right.
Buffalo was going to be a Super Bowl contender.
Right.
I still do.
And I believe after
Miami.
that I had the Dolphins.
Yep.
I think I had it in the order that it actually worked out.
Right.
But Patriots, Jets. The Jets were not as bad a team as I thought they were. I
Mm.
thought they were going to be bad, really
Yep.
bad. But Bryce Hall, Wilson, and Wilson, the wide receiver, not
Yeah,
the
Garrett.
quarterback.
Right.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson. Those guys showed that they are going to be factors for years to come. The team, the defense is very good. I think that they'll probably, from a standings perspective, you might see the biggest jump. I think they're probably second place next year again with the Bills.
Yeah.
I think they'll find a way. I also think that they're going to be a primary place for a veteran quarterback to want and go play.
Yeah.
Jimmy G, whoever it is, they're gonna have everybody in, and then I think they're gonna be the place that most places want to go because they've got a lot of cool tools to work with, especially that defense.
Yeah, according to Albert Breer, if the Raiders can't get Brady, Jimmy G is next in line. So good luck with that, GB. But in the AFC East, I had Buffalo. Same thing, Buffalo, Miami, New England Jets. Jets weren't as bad as I thought they were. Miami is in trouble to me at the quarterback position. I don't know what they're going to do in the future. But Buffalo is definitely the class of that division, though I don't think they're as dominant as people want to think they
Yeah.
are, or how they were at the beginning of the year. But we'll see.
They're about to be riding high on emotion, though. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, that's I don't have really much to say about that. But I'll move on to the AFC North, where I did not have the Bengals winning because I thought maybe they might have a Super Bowl hangover. I picked the Ravens. Didn't know, of course, Lamar was going to be hurt. We never know he's going to be hurt, but that happens. But I had Cincinnati coming in second. I had Pittsburgh coming in third, and I had Cleveland because Jacoby Brissett was starting for them. So that's
I'd
the
rather
only
have
reason.
Jacoby Brissett than Deshaun.
Wait, you're right. And who would say,
So,
yeah, exactly. I'm with
they
Deshaun.
should have
Has looked
should
bad.
have kept Jacoby in.
Yeah, he's looked bad. But
Brian,
Brian, how'd you
have
have
it?
that division?
Yeah, I mean, so I had it with Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland, just like you. I thought that not a hangover, but Cincinnati was always, they were always a 12-win team. I just thought Baltimore was possibly a 13-win team.
Mm.
Their offense and their running game last year was super dynamic. A full season of that, I thought they could get first. Cincinnati, though, is really impressive. They started off poorly.
Yeah.
And then just basically turned into world beaters. I mean, they've only lost, I think, one game since the fourth week of the season. They're a very, very solid team. And they do some things, and they did it with injuries. I mean, Chase was out for, was it 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah.
Mixon was out for 3 or 4 weeks.
And they still won.
And they were, and the team as a whole didn't skip a beat. They kept winning. They kept playing teams strong, hard, and close. Pittsburgh, respect to Mike Tomlin. I mean, the dude still hasn't had a lot losing
real talk.
season.
Real talk.
He's not.
For sure.
People do not respect Mike Tomlin. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, he's got it easy, or blah, why isn't he fired? He hasn't done anything.
Hell no.
That guy fields a team of players who go out every single week, and all these people who would send Kenny Pickett to the horse farm already, and All the other guys like Trubisky and all these other guys, but he finds a way. Winning 9 games with these guys as their quarterback. Outside of Harris on offense, is there really anybody? All the rest of their talented offensive players have moved on and gone elsewhere.
Well,
Hats off to him for continuing to do
what he didn't win with Trubisky. The only Matt Nagy was able to do stuff like that. What a fine coaching job Matt Nagy did. But
and then with Cleveland, they were going to be last because obviously they weren't going to get enough games from the world beater Deshaun Watson until late in the game. So there was never a chance that they were going to be very high.
Yeah.
The fact that they ended up being worse with him than they were without him.
That's shocking.
So be it.
Yeah.
They were a 7-win team one way or the other. It was either less wins from Jacoby and more from Deshaun or vice versa.
Real talk.
They weren't a factor.
How'd you have the AFC South? I know you didn't have Jacksonville winning. I know that.
I absolutely did not have Jacksonville.
But somebody else did. But go ahead.
I believe I had it Tennessee, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, then Houston.
Yeah.
I thought Houston was going to be the worst team in football.
Right. And they were.
They tried. They tried. They got the second pick to the Bears because of a tie. But I do believe in my heart of hearts, Houston is a worse football team than Chicago.
I'm with you on that.
But Indianapolis was kind of disappointing. I honestly didn't see them being this bad. I mean, Jonathan Taylor is supposed to be better than most others. I mean, he was the guy that everyone said is the best running back going into the year. And then Tennessee, I figured as long as you have King Henry, you're going to be able to run over teams. They did that. It just didn't always work. And then he got banged up. Jacksonville winning it, obviously a surprise. Neither of us have been very high on the Sunshine Kid.
I had Jacksonville winning, but I wasn't on Sunshine K. You're right. I wasn't on Sunshine.
No,
You're right.
Neither of us had it. I had the quarterback.
You're right.
Doing good things, but he looks solid.
Yeah.
He looks like a quarterback that you can build with. They will not be drafting a quarterback for the next year or two.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But congratulations to them. Their point differential plus 54 at 9-8. Again, better than two of the NFC teams we were talking about earlier. So anyways, good luck to them in the playoffs. I don't think that they're as talented as they're playing.
Nah.
But congratulations to them for playing.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I had Jacksonville because I just thought this division was bad. I actually had it the way it shook out. Jacksonville, Tennessee, Indianapolis. Tennessee, I told you guys about Malik Willis. I don't know why they got him. Josh Dobbs is not that much better. I think this is a perfect spot for Aaron Rodgers, but we could talk about it in a later show. Indianapolis, I thought they would be in third and they would be bad because I think Matt Ryan's not any good, and he proved it. He proved me right. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think Jeff Saturday is going to get that job. As bad as he's coached, I think he's going to be the head coach for that job. And
that was decided the minute he called him out of high school, whatever he was doing.
And then Houston is just a bad team. Lovey should have learned from old boy from Miami. He should have lost that damn game. But I think Lovey would have got fired regardless, just to be perfectly honest with you. So
he should have.
It wouldn't have been.
And you do not want to be the guy who goes out there and says the one thing that all these coaches are able to say is, "I don't lose. I don't coach to lose." He's able to say that. He was going to get fired either way.
It kind of hurts me a little bit though.
It's a fine FU to the Houston Texans for giving him a fake job.
Yeah, you're right, and it kind of hurts me a little bit because Pep Hamilton is the offense coordinator. He went to Howard. I wanted them to succeed, but you can't succeed with Houston. That's just not a job where you build.
But it was a fake job. We knew before the season was over that he was only going to get fired. The only reason he got hired was because of the lawsuit from Brian Flores, and everyone started hiring minority coaches to go. It's not us. We're not the racists.
Right.
Everyone, at the beginning of the season knew that this was going to be the outcome, and they tried to make the most of it.
And that's what happened. Yeah, you're right. I'm with you. Yeah. GB, that's a quick recap.
Yeah, y'all did really good. So let's get to the playoffs, man. We kind of been alluding to the playoff matchups. Let's start with let's go down.
Let's start with game one. Let's start with game one.
Seahawks 49ers.
Yeah, because that's not a prime time game. So let's start with that one.
Early Saturday game. It's definitely
early Saturday game, man. So look here. The Seahawks really haven't been playing that well down the stretch, but it's a tribute to how they've been playing throughout the season for them to be here at this point. So if they lose this, I don't know anybody that's actually picking Seattle to actually win this game. But the fact that they're here, is cool. The only thing I'm gonna say about the 49ers is Brock Purdy. We're gonna go as far as Brock Purdy takes us, and the fact that His pressure to sack rate is the third lowest behind Mahomes and Jared Goff because this guy doesn't take a lot of sacks. One thing Garoppolo did, he's able to move around the pocket, unlike Garoppolo. So our playoff success depends on Purdy. He played well against Seattle in that Thursday night game, whatever. It's Thursday. I don't really take too much from it. People just trying to get a win and get out. But I think we should take care of Seattle, and I don't think it's really much to say about this game.
That's all McCaffrey to me. All McCaffrey.
Yeah.
He's the reason that Brock Purdy takes less sacks. He's the reason the whole offense goes right now, to me, from what I've been watching the last few weeks. I think it all rests on McCaffrey.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't think Seattle's going to win this game. I don't know that 9.5 points is a lot. It's kind of disrespectful, to be honest. When the leading passer in this game with over 4,000 yards is Geno Smith, when the leading rusher is Ken Walker the third with over 1,000 yards, when the leading receiver is DK Metcalf with over 1,000 yards, it is weird that they think they're going to get boat ran out of the stadium. But I don't think that there's going to be a point in this game where San Francisco is too worried about them coming back and overtaking them. I just think it's going to be a closer game, 6-7 point win in the end.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Because the first game, Seattle did not score offensive touchdown. The second game was on Thursday, and they didn't cover either. I think it's still going to be a double digit. I just don't think this is the type of moment that Geno wilts, and I don't think the running game's as good as it's been as it was early in the season. So I think the 49ers, especially the way,
a lot of wilting though,
especially the way the 49ers defense has played the last couple of weeks, I think they make a statement this game. They have to, because the last couple of weeks hasn't been that good. So
yeah, and I don't have the confidence that you all have in 49ers in making statements. I also would say that the NFL must not either, because they definitely put this game. Let's get this one out the way.
Well, it's not because of the 49ers, because they're playing Seattle. Nope. I mean, that's the reason why. But to your point, Glenn, what you were saying earlier, just real quick before we move to the next game, I'm looking at Brock Purdy's statistics from week 13 to 17 before week 18. 7th in completion rate, 4th in yards per attempt, 2nd in passer rating, 6th in passing touchdowns, and 6th best quarterback in the league since he's been in there. So he's been doing his thing. But I'm not saying
how many of those passes are to McCaffrey?
Probably a few, a couple,
probably
a couple.
If you take his stats to wide receivers and split out the ones that are to, I guarantee you that goes down. And that's not a knock, but that just, I think that the reality of it is that Purdy has had the advantage of having great dual threat player. I mean,
I think a little more than that. He's passing to Kittle and Ayuk. Remember, Kittle's getting touchdowns now. He wasn't getting touchdowns.
Ayuk is cool. Yeah, I remember this guy named Debo being a factor on your team.
Yeah, he don't play. He's hurt. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. What's the next game, Glenn?
You got the Chargers and the Jaguars.
Oh, go ahead, B. What you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I just think that they're a more talented team. It's dangerous to go with the Chargers.
Yeah,
they don't win. I still think if they lose this game, I still think there's a better than 50-50 chance that their coach gets fired. But for whatever reason, I like Herbert. It's a big moment. I just think that he'll find a way to win this game. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination saying that they're good. If they lost, I will not be surprised, hurt, or anything else. And if the Chargers lose, I would fully expect that coach to get off the plane in Los Angeles and get fired on the tarmac, like so many other coaches have.
Yeah. Chargers lose this game. Chargers are 2.5-point favorites on the road against Jacksonville. That shows you all you need to know about the talent that Jacksonville has. I got the Chargers winning this game. Jacksonville's a good story. They were very, very, very happy to win that last game, and they should be. But I think that emotion comes down a little bit, and the Chargers take care of business because they just have better players and the better quarterback. But if the Chargers do lose, which is all possible, I'm with you. I expect Brandon Staley to get fired, and I expect Sean Payton to just slide right in there. So we'll see. But I know Glenn doesn't want that to happen. So you better be a Charger fan. Stop rooting for the Jaguars.
Sean Payton is talking about going to he's going to potentially be in my division anyway. So whatever. Like, what difference does it make?
Yeah, now they're talking about going to Denver too.
It doesn't matter.
I'm willing to bet y'all a shot on that one.
I might need the shot anyway, depending on who it goes. But I think the Jags, man, they're playing good ball. They've been playing good ball the last few weeks. They have a solid team. They're all rallying behind the coach. Trevor Lawrence is playing really good right now. They're at home. I think it's a lot, man. These Charger teams have not impressed me yet, especially in meaningful games in the last couple of years with Staley coaching. Nah, Herbert's a stud. We all agree, but and they got their players back and they're ready to roll. But I still think the Jags get him. They've just shown too much. They've come back against playoff teams. They've beaten playoff teams. They've been doing their thing. They've had to win all these games in a row to get in the playoffs. Then win the last game to make their entry. I think the Jags got him, but it
Yeah.
might be like
For when in
28,
doubt, yeah,
22.
when in doubt, I always take the quarterback I think is better. I think
Right.
Trevor Lawrence is good and not gonna, but I think Herbert's better. And so when in doubt, I
Yeah.
naturally go towards the leader of teams
Yeah.
as the person who's going to.
Well, I
do
just
the
think
difference.
Bosa's better than everybody on the defense, Austin Eckler, whatever. But I get Doug Peterson. That's my third person for coach of the year. It's Dable,
he's
Shanahan, and Doug. But what he had to inherit from Urban Meyer was just a mess, and for them to win the division, it's an accomplishment. So good
Urban
for them.
Meyer's funny. Up next on Sunday at 10 a.m., you got the Miami Dolphins versus the Buffalo Bills in
Yeah,
Buffalo.
I don't know who Miami's quarterback is, so I'm taking Buffalo.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah. So
I don't
but
think
the
it
thing,
matters.
yeah, I think Miami has a
This
quarterback
is
issue.
Dan
man.
Marino.
Yeah, Miami has an issue. Bridgewater gets hurt. He's small, but he's the backup. It's mainly Tua. I mean, Flores didn't lose those games, so they missed out on getting Burrow, and they drafted the wrong quarterback. They got Tua instead of Herbert, and now they're stuck with a quarterback who gets hurt on regular tackles. He don't even get hit hard, and he's already out for concussion. So, it's going to be an issue for them going forward. Not sure what they're going to do, but I definitely have Buffalo winning this one easily.
Yeah, I don't know about all the Tua shots, but the Bills are the better team. That's since the beginning of the season. Allen is the better quarterback, and it was a great season for the Dolphins. And can they find ways to win games they're not supposed to? Yes, absolutely. But there's a reason why this is a 9.5 point spread, and it's not just because we don't know who the quarterback's going to be. It's because the Bills, when they get ahead, they're one of the best teams in football at making you feel like they're going to just keep on beating you. They run up scores. They put their foot on your throat and twist.
These teams did play a good game a few weeks ago. I still got the Bills, and then also think they're going to be riding high, represented for DeMar Hamlin, just like the last game. So he might carry them to a Super Bowl, honestly. But okay, so
Giants in Minnesota. Go ahead, B.
Giants
You
in
take honors.
Minnesota. In
All right, well,
Minnesota,
I'm going to take the Vikings. Obviously, they're my team. I would do that blindly in a playoff game, or not make a pick at all. But they do have a little bit of history here. They did beat the Giants and Minnesota. They do have the advantage of having them in Minnesota, and so I'm going to hope that they can figure out something, because the last real game that they played in Week 17 was just atrocious. And we'll see what happens. But I'm going to take the Vikings. They've got so much talent. I will say that Irv Smith coming back was supposed to be a good thing. Our coach, who apparently doesn't know how to use two tight ends, is screwing it up with
Yeah,
one.
He came from
target.
the Rams. They don't use tight ends. Yeah.
But they got Hawkinson. He's been a game changer. Irv Smith comes in. He gets 2 targets. Hawkinson gets 1. And all of a sudden, we don't know what to do. And Jefferson's getting triple teamed again because Hawkinson's not a threat. And Cook is getting ran straight up the middle. And there's so many different reasons why we could lose this game. I'm going to pick the Vikings for my team. And I think ultimately they have enough talent to get past the Giants. But the Giants are a tough team that it's going to be a game, a real game.
Yeah. I'm taking the Vikings for one reason. I'm taking the Vikings by 8 because everybody that's in the sports gambling is taking the Giants. And so everybody's taking the Giants. Everybody wants to put on the Giants fist. Giants. Everybody's going that way. I'm going this way. I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings by 8 to win this game. I'm not even teasing it. I'm just saying Vikings by 8 wins this game. I am not taking the Giants. I'm sorry. I cannot take Daniel Jones in this spot on the road.
I knew that was it.
To do it. I refuse. Can't do it.
Can't win with them, huh?
Can't. So I got them.
What
last
about
game? Oh, not last game.
No,
Baltimore,
last
Cincinnati
game for Sunday. Ravens versus Bengals.
Yeah, I don't care who plays quarterback for Baltimore. I'm still taking Cincinnati this game. I don't have an opinion on the spread. But the one thing does concern me about Cincinnati is that they have another offensive lineman that went out. So Collins went out and Kappa just went out. So 2 of their big free agent acquisition on offensive line just went out. But I'm still going to take Cincinnati. I just think they're a better team. I think Lamar is healthy enough to play. I just don't think he doesn't want to play. That's just my personal opinion because of his contract situation. So,
he'll play. I have no doubt about that. If he can get on the field, he will play. Yeah. I do think the Bengals are going to win. The 3 best players on on the field that day are going to be Joe Mixon, Chase, and Burrow. They all happen to be on the same team, so it's kind of hard to pick against them. And I really like Lamar Jackson, and I really like the Baltimore Ravens at the beginning of the season. I think I said that it was either them or the Bills in the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl. But the reality of it is they haven't been that team. They've got all the injuries, and the Bengals are they're going to be one of the toughest outs in football, just like they were last playoffs, right? I mean, they made it all the way through the AFC last year. They're a tough team to beat.
Yeah, Baltimore is going to be another one and done. They should be used to it. That's all they do. So it's good.
Yeah, they got to figure out the Lamar situation. All right, last game, man. Dallas Cowboys at Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Monday.
To have a Monday night playoff game. I don't think this has ever happened before.
Yeah. We talked about this earlier about Dallas going into Tampa Bay, and let me tell you something. Tampa Bay is not a good team, and Tom Brady has not passed the eye test this year, but this is Dallas. And if there's two people that always choke, it's Dak and McCarthy. So, Brian, I don't know who you're going with, but I actually want Dallas to win, to be perfectly honest with you, because I think Dallas and Philly would be a better game than Tampa Bay Philly. I think Philly would destroy Tampa Bay personally. Sure. That's assuming Minnesota wins, because Philly gets to play the lowest seed, which will be Dallas or Tampa Bay. But I want Dallas to win. I'm going to take Tampa Bay. I'm going to take Tampa Bay. I want Dallas to win, but I'm going to Tampa. And here's the thing: if Dallas loses game, I'm willing to bet you guys, if Dallas loses game, McCarthy's getting fired.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He's fired. He's done. He's fired. So definitely. Like Brian said, the tarmac. Just go straight to your hotel or wherever you live. Yeah, don't even come in the facility. So
I wouldn't even get back on the plane to Dallas.
I was going to say, stay in Florida.
Wherever it is that you live in your off season, just fly there.
Stay in Florida.
They send me a box with my stuff.
Right. So Brian, who you got?
I feel the same exact way. I feel like the Cowboys have not looked strong the last couple of weeks. Dak is throwing picks, which he has historically not done. He's not been that guy where he throws a lot of picks, but he's throwing them in bunches the last few weeks. I think Tampa Bay has started to come together. I mean, there was a week when Mike Evans and Tom Brady Mike Evans actually caught passes and they were on fire. Mm-hmm. So they're getting warm. I wouldn't say hot, warm at the right time. Cowboys are having a little bit of issues. They're going to Tampa Bay. It's harder to beat teams at home. It's really, really hard to beat Brady at home. There's a reason why he gets to so many Super Bowls and loses. When he loses them in neutral fields and on the road. But losing at home is not something he does regularly. So when in doubt, I take the quarterback I have the confidence in the most, and that's still Brady.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who's your MVP, Brian?
Jefferson.
Who's your MVP, Glenn?
Oh, Jefferson, huh?
Never going to happen. But
it's going to be a quarterback, and it's probably going to be Josh Allen.
Yeah, I got Mahomes. Led the league in yards and touchdowns without Tyreek Hill. And the reason why I think Mahomes is the MVP is because when the regular season was over, nobody talked about the MVP award. Before, every week he was talking about Hurts or maybe Jefferson could win it, somebody, but nobody was talking about it. So Mahomes has to get it.
Yeah, you probably right.
Did. So everybody got Mahomes.
There's more kickers who have won the MVP than wide receivers.
I never knew that. What kicker won?
Yeah,
it was a strike shortened year.
I believe it.
I heard this
and
story.
I want to say it was it Washington?
Oh,
but
really?
Anyways,
okay.
There was one kicker has won, no wide receivers.
Wow, that's crazy.
You could vote Mahomes
didn't win it last year.
Yeah.
Jefferson got a little cool at the end of the year, but what he was doing all the rest of the year, 1,800 yards, is bananas.
Yeah. Coach of the year? Who you guys got coach of the year?
Who do I think will win it?
Yeah. Who you want? Who would you pick, and who you think is going to win it?
I got Dan Campbell. Who's probably going to win it is Dable or Peterson, I think.
Okay. Who about you, Brian?
I think Dable is the person who I think should win it. But inevitably it'll be, Peterson or some, a top win team in the league. It always is.
I think Dable, man, it helps that he's in New York. So I think Dable's going to win it. I actually want Dable. I think he should win it. So
I think he should too.
Yeah, we'll see. All right.
But Dan Campbell has been great.
Yeah.
There's been some really good coaching folks, and it's also funny to watch all these superstar coaches wash out. You got what's going on in LA with the
Yeah.
Rams. You got the both LA coaches possibly gone. You got the Hackett, who was supposed to be the guy there.
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Oh
I was gonna
no,
say,
Josh. Well, Mark Davis is too broke to get rid of Josh McDaniels, so he'll still be
and that
there.
is literally
Yeah.
the only reason at this
Yeah,
point. I think
exactly.
still
He's
got
too.
it.
He had no.
Is he
He's
What I-
can't
past
he can't
four.
afford to pay 3.
We
Right.
could talk the NFL conspiracy theories later, but I think he's trying to build the Patriots, the last team that was successful against them, and he's already tried to create the last team that we were successful with Gruden, and now he's trying to build the Patriots. I don't think it's gonna work, but it'll be
Yeah.
fun on. It's gonna be fun on
Yeah.
Madden because that's all I care about. I can't control real seasons.
Yeah, I got to give Kyle Shanahan props, man. He had 3 quarterbacks this year he had to deal with, and the offense
Crazy.
they still won 13 games. So yeah, it was a good team, but you still got to kind of
That
coach them up a little
defense.
bit and make stuff
Yeah,
happen. So,
that defense was
but yeah,
carrying. Word
yeah.
up. You guys got anything that's hogwash? A bunch of hogwash? Hella
Oh,
hogwash? Anything on your mind?
Brian, you got any hogwash? I didn't think about that.
I didn't have any. I was just asking if you guys had anything.
No.
I could use my whole team season.
Well, I could tell you. Oh, go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
So the only thing that kind of struck me from the last week is that I do really feel like all the games should be played as close to the same time. When you put the Green Bay Detroit game out there, you took a little bit of something away. Once it was decided that Detroit couldn't get in there, Detroit did a great job, but I just think it's hogwash to have one game out there Sunday night. That there's a reason why they get rid of Monday night's games for the last week.
Yeah.
They should do the same thing with Sunday night games and have the games played at 10-1, and let them all be decided at the same time. It just would add a bunch of intrigue. You get a lot of people watching, and watching multiple games at the same time.
Yeah, this one probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Sean McVay is hogwash because he pulled a LeBron in Cleveland, in Miami. So what he did was no draft picks, just want to win
Yep.
right now. And then as soon as things got bad, I'm gonna go ahead and just get up out of here. I'm gonna go to TV.
First of all, that's not Sean McVay. That's the GM.
No, that's
who
Sean
I still
McVay.
think is brilliant.
That's Sean McVay. Okay.
The Rams
that's,
GM is brilliant. The capologist.
He
Yeah.
got one
Figured
Super
out how to
Bowl.
get all those damn people in that with all that money. But they're gonna have to pay for it.
Yeah.
I don't fault Sean McVay. I know.
No, I
do,
don't fault him at all. Hell no. No, I don't.
Like,
That's like I never fault LeBron. Yeah, I
got
mean,
my ring.
exactly. He did what he had to do. And I tell 49 fans all the time, I'd rather be the Rams, got the ring. Yeah,
Yep.
we ain't got it. So yeah, I'm with it.
Mine is probably TCU, Georgia. I mean, anytime like the last few games I've at least watched. The fact that I didn't have any interest in it at all. I mean, and that's it just happened how it happened. But I think we'll talk about this in the future too. But maybe if they add more teams or however it works, you'll get the right guys in there. But I think we might see some ripples because that was not how you want your penultimate game to go.
Yeah, TCU doesn't make it through 4 game playoff series, right?
No, hell no.
Everyone has a puncher's chance when it's just one game.
Yeah, which is
Certainly.
the reason why I said it doesn't need to be expanded. But we could talk about that later.
No,
One more
that's the
thing.
whole reason why you want it expanded.
One more thing.
You don't
that's
get garbage
hogwash.
teams like TCU coming in, not garbage. But
Well,
teams that
in the
aren't good
championship
enough
game,
getting there.
I get you on that one.
TCU is not getting through 3 games.
No, hell no.
Yeah.
Another thing that's hogwash is I just read this. The Cardinals have never had a coach longer than 6 years, and they've been around
6
for 100 years.
Ever.
I
saw that.
never knew that. They never had a coach more than 6 years. They just fired Cliff Kingsbury after extending him last year. So they're paying $40 million to him and the GM, which is chump change for NFL owners. But
Best
giving
job
him- they
in
get one.
sports is a fired coach.
I couldn't believe that. No, never in 6 years. That's a tire fire organization with a quarterback everybody hates. So good luck. I'm happy they're in our division. So
Poor guys.
Yeah.
All right, last one, man. This is kind of along the same lines. Just second to talk about anything sports related. What you guys got?
what you got, B?
not sports related. Minute to win it. You can talk about which one.
Man, well, I'll talk about Sean Payton wants to come back to head coaching. I don't think he's going to go to Denver. I just don't see why. It's no quarterback, no cap space, no draft picks. Not sure why you would take that job. But he's assembling his staff, but who his GM is going to be is actually head scratching. It's Ryan Pace, the guy who was Matt Nagy's general manager with the Chicago Bears. Why he chose him, I do not know. I think that is the wrong choice for GM with all the stuff that he did in Chicago. But if Sean Payton thinks he can work with him, more power to him. But that's a head scratcher. But I would like to see Sean Payton get back in the league as a coach because I think he's a very, very good coach. But I don't think it's going to be Denver. I'm willing to bet anybody money on that one. B, what's yours?
So I'll talk about something that's non-sports related. In California, we're going through a whole bunch of rain right now. Actually, it's just subsided, and it's supposed to have a couple-day break before picking up over the weekend. But the thing that is interesting to me, and that I really want to throw, I guess, a flag on the field and have people take a look at or think about is we're getting all this rain. We've been talking about the drought for months, and
Years.
now we're getting all this rain. And too often I hear people go, oh well, now we don't have to worry about the drought, and that's simply not the case. We will be going right back to having drought-like conditions in a month when this rain subsides, because we do not, as a state, have an infrastructure that allows it to keep all of this water. Our reservoirs are getting the 6 inches or 12 inches or 18 inches of total water that fall in the reservoir and nothing else. We're not funneling water. We don't. Our storm drains go out to the ocean. They're too dirty. We don't maintain these things, so we're going to go right back to where we were. Meanwhile, we're getting ravaged because our infrastructure is also not meant to contain this much water. There's all the flooding. There's the freeways are closed, shut down. The 5 freeway in Los Angeles, and I know that there's a bunch of freeways up north that were that had currents. And it's just a darn shame that a state that needs water so badly doesn't know how to build an infrastructure to get what little rain it has and capitalize off of it. You would think that if you lived in a place that was a drought, you would find a way to make sure that when you get some rain, you contain it. We also have one of the few states that it is illegal to capture your own rainwater and use it for irrigation.
Yeah, I thought that changed, but yeah, no, good points. Man, I don't really got anything. I just thank you all for listening. Cool, Brian, always a pleasure, man. Great doing this show. This is our 5th year for anybody checking us out, so we're gonna keep it going. It's been a good time. Started in Brian's game room years ago. All of us huddled around a telephone talking sports, and it's turned into this. So
I don't think people understand. This started by Glenn listening to me and Brian argue about sports and our and who we liked and who we didn't like and why. That's where it all started. Brian's living room.
Yeah,
Glenn took it here, so we appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it.
Been a pleasure, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks everybody for checking us out. Sports Counterpoints, January 10th, 2023. Thanks.